Hello there, it's me, Sari here again. Today I'm going to show you how to make a wall piece using different kinds of distress products from Tim Holtz. I'm just going to zoom it in so you can see what happens in the center, and then I'm going to zoom it out yet again. So we're going to make a piece similar to this one. And for starters, I have used a piece of corrugated paper at the bottom, and that one measures 15.2 times 21.5 centimeters, and then I just ripped off pieces here and there to make it look a little bit uneven, like this. After that I put on some crackle paint, and I chose to use picket fence. Just show you how nice it looks when it cracks. And after it had dried, I actually continued using tarnished brass just to give it a nice effect. So there you can see it, right? So, and as you can see, I've also put some walnut stain here with the distress ink. I just did that to give it some character, actually. What you're going to continue with is using a piece of paper that measures 9 times 15 centimeters. And I have used a piece of watercoloring paper here. And in order to get that result, you are going to add some color to a craft sheet, and also just shake a drop or two from, for example, tea dye, distress ink refill bottle. And then you are going to add some water to it. Make sure you get a lot of bubbles, so you get a first coat that's really nice. So I'm just putting this paper in, giving it a little twirl, making sure the colour goes all around, all over the paper, and then you are left with something like this. And you dry it with a heat gun, and after it has dried, you just continue adding up some more colour to it if you feel like so, and then just dry it and continue adding some more colour. I'm just going to put this up here so it can dry by itself, and I'm going to wipe this clean so I don't have this messy surface when I'm working with the rest of the products, or project as it is. Just taking away these cutting mats, actually, or cutting, I'm not sure what you call it. Anyway, so you should have something like this now, and if you want to, you can add a nice contrast or a frame to this paper by using scattered straw yet once more. And using the same colour, you won't get too poignant differences if you don't want to. And you could, of course, continue with some tea dye, and you can actually do that with a ink blending tool. Just add it on around the edges here, like so. It doesn't have to be that even if you don't want to. I mean, just do it a little bit randomly if you feel like it, and if you feel like, you could also finish it off by brushing with some walnut stain just to give it some definition. So there you have it. And the leftover piece I actually ended up with after having cut out this corrugated paper, I'm going to use on the other, in the other direction. So I'm going to keep it as it is, and I'll just drag some more walnut stain across the edges. I mean, this one gives it really nicer definition, and it stands out on that typical color for that corrugated paper. So what you should have by now could be looking something like this. And then it's time to move on to the tag, and you can actually choose whatever color you feel like. I'm going to go for something green today, but And I have actually started on something here. And I thought I'd show you what I started off by doing first. I have used Tim Holtz's distress embossing powder here. And this one feels a little bit like sandpaper. So it's a nice texture to it. And in order to not get this embossing powder all over the place, if I were to color this one first, because it's a little bit wet and this sticks to everything that's wet, so I'm actually going to do this first. But you need to remember to shake the jar first, and then you need some kind of a leftover piece of paper that you can use. Just to get away the excess of that embossing powder. And then of course you're going to need a stamp, and this stamp is a Tim Holtz's number stamp, and I'm just going to show you the set that it comes from, that I'm working with right now. And this is what it looks like. It's got loads of stamps on it, and it's called Urban Chic, so it's a really nice stamp set. And I'm actually going to use that butterfly there, and that text piece here, live in the moment and so forth, and of course those numbers up there. Just love that stamp actually. So let's go on. So I'm going to use some perfect medium to stamp this, and then I'm just putting the numbers from the 0 upwards. And I'm actually going to use this guideline acrylic block, and I'm going to use that line here to get it lined up with the tag. And as it comes for watercoloring, you can see it right there, can't you? So shake it up and then just pour it over. You needn't use the whole jar, of course. Just shake off the excess. Doesn't matter if there's any even more, because that just gives it even more nice structure to it. And then just pour it back there into the jar, and just remember to close it, otherwise you'll end up with lots of powders everywhere. And I'm going to need that one again. I must warn you, it's a little bit tricky seeing when this dressing, this distress powder is actually ready, but you should look out for something that gives a sense of a color shift. It becomes a little bit darker. That's the only thing I can say that shows you that it's actually done. I hope I can show it to you properly. And now I'm not going to talk anymore, because this one is going to make a lot of noise. And you should let it cool just a little bit before you scrape off the excess of those release pearls, or release powders, or what you call it. And it does become a little bit darker while you're embossing it, but after that it goes back to its normal colour. And just scrape off these release crystals really, and then you go for a lovely sandpaper texture to it. And now I'm going to add on that colour, and this time I'm going to use peel paint, and I'm just going to do it like this. I start from the outside, and I'm just going to drag the colour in here. And you needn't worry about those release crystals, because they are easy to take off, and actually they don't come off that easily onto this foam. So just continue working the colour in, and just to be on the safe side, just check the foam before you put it on the ink pad yet again. So making it this way, we're actually making sure that this powder doesn't stick to everything else. And now I'm going to continue using a background stamp that's called Splash, and that one comes from Inkido. It's a Swedish company that makes its own stamps and papers and everything. Just got to put that one there, and I'm actually thinking of putting even more splashes here and there because I just love this stamp and just feel like making a sort of background feel to it. So it doesn't have to be even or strong, it just needs to be there. And now I'm going to continue with the butterfly that I showed you before, and I think I'll go for something darker. I have been a little bit afraid of using colour, so this time I'm actually going for the walnut stain. And I'm doing it twice. And I just started using one of both of the corners, diagonal corners. So this is what I've got right now going for me here. Of course I do need some kind of definition to the edges, so I'm going to just scrape the ink pad around the tag like so. So there you have it. I see I've come up to 11 minutes already, so perhaps I ought to stop here. Or should I go for something else? Well, I could actually try to do this one as well. This is a piece of paper that I have die cut with the Regal Crest die cut from Tim Holtz, and I'm going to use that text stamp that I talked about before. I have lined it up to that guideline there, and what I usually do is I actually hope I can show this better here. I use archival ink, jet black, and what I do first, I actually turn it over to the back side just to see that I'm actually getting it lined up. I hope my head won't bump into this now. And I'm going to put the line across those points there. So in that way I'm actually making sure that it's going to be straight. Well, as you can see, I could have gone a little bit more to the right, so I need to remember that when I'm turning this over. I'm adding more ink. And I need to move this just a little bit down so I can see better. Remember to put them all over the pointy parts and just keep it in the center. I think that will be quite alright actually. I'm going to let that one dry just a little bit, and then I'm going to colour it in with some, I think it was wild honey or perhaps rusty hinge actually. I think I used rusty hinge to colour it up. So this is one of the colours, and then I just colour it in on the edges. To finish that one off, I'm actually putting some crackle paint, and this one is called Clear Rock Candy. So after it has dried a little bit, I actually just paint it all over and let it dry, and I end up with a result looking like this, shimmery and a little bit crackled here and there. So I'm going to leave you with this one so far, and then I'm going to come back to continue with the second part. Bye bye.